The old internet was special. In the old internet days, a lot of people had their own websites. I mean, some people still do, and the old internet still exists in different pockets and corners. So what we're going to do in this video is head over to ultahost.com. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that they've got over here. We're going to take a look at their VPS basic server, and then I'm going to talk about just a few things that you can install on there. And then to finish up, I'm going to install FreshRSS and just show you how you can stay informed, keep all the stuff you want to see coming towards you without having to see all the nonsense you don't want to see, like on social media. So I believe that RSS is a much more wholesome and better way to view the web, a much better way to get your news, and a much better way to stay informed, while also cutting out a lot of the stuff that we just don't have any control over. A lot of the outrage farming and a lot of the just awful garbage that's making our lives worse. We can cut that out. So I've been using Ultahost for a few months now, just for different reasons, and I've noticed that their pricing compared to a lot of the competitors is slightly better, and you get generally more for the money, especially when it comes to the VPS hosting. So you can get WordPress hosting if you don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole right now, but you can also get shared hosting for just regular websites if you wanted to make your own, whatever it is, Ghost or who knows. But I want to look at the VPS hosting because this is where you have the real power. And it's not expensive, but you need to know a little bit about what you're doing. You need to know a little bit of Linux stuff, but it's not difficult. If you can copy and paste commands, into Linux, you can probably figure it out. Another thing about all this stuff, even if you've never done this before, don't be scared. It's an education. Just think of it that way. So let's take a look at what you get for $480 a month. You get 1 CPU core, gigabyte of RAM, 30 gigabyte NVMe SSD to make all the small files that open up really nice and snappy. And then we've got 1 IPv4 address. You get free SSL certificates. So if you want to go beyond the Let's Encrypt free stuff, you can use their free stuff. And then you got a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're running a business that has customers and stuff, you might want to step up to this one because you got the DDoS protection and just a few other things. A little more RAM, a little bit more of the CPU. That's actually a pretty good price for 2 CPUs and 2 gigabytes of RAM. So we'll come back to all that in just a minute. I'm going to talk about a few other ideas and things you could do with the server. So number one, you can run your own website, and it doesn't have to be WordPress. I know there's a lot of nonsense going on with WordPress right now. It still works just fine. There's still a lot of open source stuff you can get. Everything there is open source. Even if something happens to WordPress, it can just pop back up. Someone can fork it. So I'm not too entirely worried. In fact, I honestly hope that things keep going in a weird direction, because that might mean that the community will step in, fork things, and we'll have a better, safer version with some, more community involvement. So I think that's what's going to happen in, the long run. But, you can run WordPress. If you don't want to run WordPress, well, there's a few other things you can run. Hugo is probably the best thing if you're running a static website. These are just some templates you can get. It's something designed to make a static website that you don't change that frequently. Of course, you can go in and change things pretty easily, but the final result is meant to be like a portfolio or an information website, or just something that you want to keep static. I'm not going to do a tutorial on how to install this unless you really want one in the future, but it's pretty easy to get going. I just wanted to give you this as a recommendation for static pages. Now, if you need blogs and stuff, there's a platform called Ghost. So when you compare Ghost to WordPress, it doesn't have the same ecosystem, but it does have some really modern tools, and it feels a lot more modern in my opinion. So if you don't need a billion different plugins, I think Ghost might be a really cool way to go. Powerful app for professionals, published, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So they say you can try it free for 14 days, but Ghost is open source, and that's if you're going to be using their hosting, you'll have to pay. But you can actually install this yourself. So you can install your own self-hosted version of this. And right here's how you do it. So you just need to install Ubuntu on your VM from Ultahost, and then you can come over here and go through this guide that I'll link you below. It's relatively easy. You just have to literally go through, copy this, that's pretty much how it is with Linux stuff. Like, I could sit here and talk you through this, or you can learn how to install things on your own by running all these things, copying things, and then you'll have Ghost installed and you can get to work on your dynamic website. If you need a forum, Discourse is what I would recommend. There's a lot of different forums out there, and sure, PHPBB has been around forever, but it's old and I don't want to use that stuff anymore. There's also Vanilla if you want something that's more like old school, but if you want something that has like a modern feel to it and, feels like the modern web should feel, in my opinion, Discourse is really where it's at. So Running a forum is probably what I should have been doing. I let the forum go. I kind of feel bad about it now because I thought the microblogging thing, stuff like Twitter, was going to be the future. But now I see that that kind of conversation is not as healthy as a forum. I feel like a forum is a much better way to go back and forth with people. It doesn't drive as much sensational nonsense, but it's a much better connection with other humans. So yeah. Having said all that, I do actually like the Fediverse, and I have set up a Fediverse site. Yay, we updated it just now. So this is easymode.im. This is a Fediverse site, meaning it's compatible with Mastodon, because everyone knows what Mastodon is, right? I set up the website for people who are into like gaming, retro, nerd culture, and a lot of you probably would like a lot of the stuff on there. No bigotry, sorry. I'm sorry. It's no hate speech. That's just what we do. None of that. So here's the difference between this and something like Twitter. This is a small community that's connected to other small communities that make a big community. So for instance, when I click on home here, I'm seeing all kinds of people who are on different communities. See, this person is on social.vivaldi.net or whatever, and you'll see like where they're from. Similar to the way Blue Sky works. You know, they don't have to sign up to Blue Sky whatever. They can sign up to other instances of Mastodon or Miski. We are running Sharky. Thanks to the Sharky devs, you're all awesome. So you can just browse everyone that way. Or if you want to see only people who are on easymode.im, just our local community, you can click on local and just take a look. There's all the local posts on there. And, you know, have you noticed how cool everybody is here on the local feed? So you've got that and this. And it's a pretty cool way to like have a nice niche community and get that feel of a smaller community while also connecting with your friends in their own niche communities. And you can run your own server and it can have a theme. So that's a cool use for a server if you wanted to set one of those up. And finally, the thing that I think everyone should be doing is running their own RSS feed. And for that, I use FreshRSS. So RSS, if you're someone who's like never gone to a website that's not owned by a billionaire, well, RSS, if you go to a regular website that has like articles and stuff, they generally have a feed of everything. And that's called an RSS feed. It's been around since, I believe, before the internet. These feeds of just, you know, stuff, posts, blogs, articles, whatever, just feeds. So what you do is you go to the websites and you find their feeds. Sometimes if you can't find it, just try typing in the name of the website and, you know, and then putting /feed. That's how I found DSO Gaming's feed. I just typed DSO Gaming /feed into the URL. And then you're going to be able to go through and see all the posts. The thing I like about this one is you can actually organize it as if it were a blog by clicking on the little book. Check that out. So see, like it's just like a blog. And I can come through and like if I want to read an article, I can be like, oh, let's see this one here. Favorite games of 2024, read more. And it opens up the article on the original website, giving them the hit which they deserve. I can read this stuff every day and I'm not bombarded with all kinds of stuff that are beyond my control. Bad news, bad news, bad news, people yelling and screaming at each other, I hate this, I hate that. I don't have to see all that stuff on social media all the time. I still post on there because it's part of my job to like put stuff on there, but I pay far less attention to that than I do to something like this. And I can, you know, just open this up on my phone, scroll through it here and there. Oh, what's all this? Something's going on with the ZX Spectrum. You know, like you find all this stuff that I don't see this stuff on social media because it's just not sensational enough for social media. And I can just run that. So I'm going to teach you how to install FreshRSS on your host. So there's a couple different ways to install FreshRSS, and I'm going to teach you the medium difficult way, and there's a reason for that. I want you to be able to do more with your server than just RSS. So I'm going to show you how to install something called Portainer first. Portainer allows us to install all kinds of Docker containers and manage them from inside an interface. So you'll be able to install multiple things like Lazy Librarian and FreshRSS. All this stuff is running right now, and it's very, very easy to set up. So after you get that set up, then you can just install these containers without having to worry, and then you can update them or whatever. But it just means that you'll be able to do more with your server, and it'll be really easy once you get Portainer up and running. All right, so once we're over here, we can go into our dashboard, and then I'm actually going to, this has already got stuff on it, but I'm going to reinstall, and I'm going to put Debian on here. Now you can use Debian or Ubuntu for this, but I prefer Debian because there's just fewer things going on out of the box with Debian, and I want the newest version. They have Debian 12, I believe. I'm going to click reinstall on mine, but there we go. So we'll give this a minute while Debian's being installed on the server, and then we'll set up Portainer. All right, once it's finished, you'll come back here, and then we're just going to click on start. It might have already been starting. Yep, start the server. Yeah, Yes, let's start that server. You'll need something like Putty. I'm actually using Kitty, which is a fork of Putty that I like a little bit better. Put in your IP address right there. We're doing SSH. And then I'm going to go ahead and I may as well save this as Ultahost. Go on and save. Ultahost. There we go. First time you open it up, it'll say like, hey, do you want to accept this? Yes, accept. Cool. Now I'm going to log in as root. And then our password, our Ultahost root password. If you want to paste it, use Shift Insert instead of Control V. There we go, and we're in. First thing you want to do with Linux in general is just get everything up to date. So I'm going to do an apt update. There we go. And this is just updating all the repositories to make sure everything's ready to go. After that, I'm going to do a sudo upgrade. Apt upgrade. Sudo apt upgrade. This just upgrades all the packages that we downloaded. Say yes. And this will just make sure everything's up to date before we start installing other things. The next thing I want to do before I install Portainer, I want to install Docker. So I've gone over to Docker's website and I've clicked on the page to install Docker on Debian. So I'm just going to scroll down here. The first thing they want me to do is to run this command just to make sure there's no conflicting packages, which you probably don't need to do on a new installation, but what the heck. There, nothing installed. Good, good, good. All right, it's just making sure nothing that needs to be removed is on there. So it's 99% chance it'll be fine, but yeah. I'm going to link all this below so you can go through it at your own pace if you want to. But yep, here's our installation methods. Install it manually. Let's just scroll on down. We got to set up the apt repository first. This is just telling Debian where to find Docker. So I'm going to do these lines one at a time. Remember, Shift Insert. Just doing them one at a time all the way down. So this is literally how you use Linux. I'm putting them side by side. Copy, Shift Insert, copy, Shift Insert. I mean, there's a lot more to it than this, but you know, now you can tell people that I'm still elite. I can't use Linux. I can't even copy paste. There we go, paste. Good. Now you do a sudo apt get update and it will add the sources for Docker. My copy's broken. There we go. Now it'll, make sure all these things are ready to go and it's time to install. This is only if you're using a derivative distribution of Linux. If you're just using regular old Bookworm like I am, Bookworm is the latest version. They always have funny names for each version. It's the latest version of Debian. So just grab that, copy, Shift Insert, yes. All right, let's run this hello world thing just to make sure it's installed. All right, it worked. Okay, everything's fine. Okay. First thing we need to do is create a Docker environment or a container for it. So go ahead and copy this, paste it. All right, Portainer data is ready. Then we need to click on this to download and install the Portainer server container. It's going to set up your ports to be 8000 and 9443. Let's just make sure it's up and running, but we should be good to go. Shift Insert. All right, Portainer, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All right, so now it's we can just log in with this in our web browser. So we need to go to this IP address, the IP address of our server, 159.100.30.120, and then we need to put in that port. It's going to say, it's not HTTPS. That's fine. We can set that up later. All right, you might get this message right here if you did not put HTTPS first, because Portainer likes to be HTTPS. There we go. It's like security risk. Go ahead and click on advanced and click on accept the risk. All right, it's asking us for our username and password. I don't like to use admin for pretty much anything. All right, so get your name and password and then create user. When you first get started on Portainer, I'm just going to click on the home button here and we have this thing that says local. Well, that's your local environment. I'm going to click on that and then we have pretty much nothing going on. Just two images here that are running. So we've got our Portainer running. Now we need to add FreshRSS. So we click on templates and we've got all these things we can add. Let's see if FreshRSS is available. Oh, it's not available. What are we going to do? If FreshRSS is not available, well, maybe you can install one of these other things. There's all kinds of different apps you can run. I mean, you can really install just about anything right here. I'll make it a little bit smaller. It's huge. But if you want other things, we'll click on settings down here and we have URLs for where do I get our apps from. So let me just change this out. So I'm going to paste this in and I'll give you a link to this. Save that. And then when I click on templates, give it a second, it's a totally new list of templates. And look at that, FreshRSS is there now. So we've got all these different lists of templates that we can get. So FreshRSS right there. Sure, we'll name it FreshRSS. Network's going to be bridged. Everything's pretty much fine. Yeah, it's fine. Just click on deploy the container and watch this. All right, so the port is 32.768. So I'm just going to grab this IP address, paste it in there, and do port 32.768. Same thing. We haven't set up any SSL. And there's FreshRSS. Looks good to me. Hit submit. Cool, cool, cool. Go to the next step. Do you want SQLite? Yeah, that's fine. We're not going to be doing anything crazy. And we'll set up our username. And I'm going to use JavaScript. All right, once that's finished, just click on Complete Installation. And here we are. This is what FreshRSS looks like when you first log in. You're just subscribed to the FreshRSS feed or whatever, I guess, on your main stream right there. But you're going to want to set up some feeds, right? You want to do some subscription stuff. All right, so one of the websites I like for a lot of my gaming news is Dark Side of Gaming. I think it's a pretty good one. Their feed is just /feed, and they don't advertise it. That's it. So I'm just going to, go to DSO Gaming and put feed and copy that. Now we'll come back over to our FreshRSS, click on Subscription Management. I'm going to make a category for just gaming. So let's make a category. Add category over here. We'll just call it gaming. Click on add to add that category. Now that we've got our category right here, we can click on add feed. Ignore the category thing on the top there. There we go. Feed, it's gaming. You can do type of feed, whatever, but just hit add. It's fine. There we go. And then it'll grab the details. We can title it something. DSO Gaming's fine with me. That's the stuff that it pulled from their website. Don't need that nonsense. Trailers. All right. And everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. There we go. Looks good. Beat has been updated. We don't need to worry about this page. We're good. So now when I click on FreshRSS again, it's got a gaming category right here. And inside that gaming category are all of the latest posts from DSO Gaming. And if I want to look at it, as thumbnails or whatever, I can do that with thumbnails for all that. But I can click on the book right here and it'll organize it this way. Let's do another one here. I also think Rock, Paper, Shotgun is a pretty decent website. And they have a little button right here for RSS. You click on that and it takes you to their feeds page. And they have all these different feeds, which is very handy. I want to do a feed of news. Yeah, I don't really care about deals and featurettes. So I'm going to do news. You can do different ones, but you can just copy this one right here. So copy this, come back over to FreshRSS, click on that to go home, click on Subscription Management. This will also be in gaming, so I'll just add a feed, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, gaming, click on add. It'll bring this up. Yep, the latest news from Rock, Paper, Shotgun, submit. Cool, this is done. You don't need to click on submit. It's cool. Come back over here, click on FreshRSS in our gaming tab. Now we have all this stuff. If I open it up like a book, check that out. It looks a lot like a blog. It's very easy to read. So I think you get the idea. You can create more categories and everything. So Tech Syndicate also has a feed. I've got it right up here on the top. See this little button? That's our RSS feed. You want to right click on that and do copy link. Come back over to your FreshRSS installation. Click on Subscription Management. I'm going to make a new category right here. Uncategorize. Let's do add a feed or a category. Let's add a category called Tech. Add. There we go. And then in Tech, we can add a feed. Right here's the feed. Paste it. Add. There it is, Tech Syndicate. No description, but I don't think it needs one really. There we go. And then down here on Tech, click on the book, and you can browse through all the latest posts from Tech Syndicate. So there you go. All that's nice and easy for you. I feel like FreshRSS is an amazing way to take your digital life back. And I think more people need to be using RSS instead of just getting all of your stuff from 2 or 3 apps. That's not healthy. That's crazy talk. So, and I've done all this right here on Ultahost's website. Now, if you want a domain, you can come over here and grab a domain. And then you can link that domain to your account. So you can actually use a real domain name instead of the IP address. And then on top of all that, you can use their SSL certificates, or you can use some Let's Encrypt certificates or whatever, and get all that set up pretty easily. So manage SSL certificates right there. And this, after you have a domain here, then you can start throwing some SSL certificates. So it's probably easiest to grab your domain and then set it all up. But if you're using Cloudflare or something else, it's as simple as pointing your Cloudflare DNS to your IP address over on Ultahost, and then you can set up Let's Encrypt or run SSL any way you like. So it's pretty easy to do, but it's too much for this video, I think. So, really, I think everyone should be using a server. Even if you're not running a website or something, it's a great way to learn about stuff that's on the web. And there's all kinds of apps that you can use to make your life better, like the FreshRSS that I showed you today. I'm curious, how many of you out there use FreshRSS, and what do you think about it? And what do you think about all the stuff I've been saying about shifting your focus over to something like that? Also, I do want to give a quick shout out to the Linux Cast this week, because it's kind of funny. I just finished outlining this video, And then the Linux Cast uploaded this 2 days ago. It's making the internet suck less. And it's a video about FreshRSS. So, I saw that and I was like, you know what? I'm still going to make the video, but you can go over there and watch their video as well. I'll put a link to that in the description because the Linux Cast is awesome. And if you don't watch it, you should. Really cool stuff. So thanks very much to Ultahost for sponsoring this video. Head over to ultahost.com and grab yourself a domain, grab yourself a VPS package, and let me know what you're going to be doing with it. I'm curious. Tell me in the comments. See you next time.